Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my awesome tri-state area. Welcome to our 153rd episode. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on Saturday night. Thank you for listening and interacting with us on social media. That really makes it all worthwhile. Please follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. And also remember that all our episodes of A Moment of Zen stream 24/7 on Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland. You can always find us on our YouTube channel at Zen Sams. In our Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut in honor of World Down Syndrome Day, March 21st, we're featuring Abigail Adams. She's a Down syndrome advocate, triathlete, keynote speaker, and influencer. She's joined by Amy Kennedy, education director of the Kennedy Forum. Now, in honor of World Down Syndrome Day, we will demystify stigmas surrounding disabilities, and we're going to aim to raise awareness to promote inclusion in the workplace and in our schools. In our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift, we are featuring celebrity dermatologist Dr. Jeanine Downie. She is board certified and the director of Dermatology P.C. in Montclair, New Jersey. Dr. Downie has been honored as one of New York Metropolitans Top Doctors. Today, she joins me to talk about secret hacks for skin of color and demystify the stigmas surrounding female sexual health. In the Rankin Difference, brought to you by DavidRankinMD.com, we're featuring the many female voices and stories affected by breast implant illness. From your favorite celebrities, influencers, to your beloved stay-at-home mamas, we're going to bring you stories of truth, triumph, and survival. In this segment, we're joined by our recurring contributor and expert, Dr. David Rankin. He is a top breast explant expert in the U.S. and the chief of plastic surgery at St. Mary's Medical Center in West Palm Beach, Florida. He's going to be joined by his patient and fellow breast implant illness warrior, Joy Corrigan. She's a model, actress, fashion designer, and businesswoman. Many of you have seen her on Sports Illustrated. She was a Playboy Playmate and a Victoria's Secret model. Today, we're chatting breast implant illness, Joy's explant journey, and the warning signs and symptoms your breasts are secretly revealing, and what most surgeons fail to disclose in your initial consultation. In our Discover Your Potential segment, contributor Anna DeVere covers game-changing women as a tribute for Women's Day, March 8th. Stay tuned for our Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, featuring Abigail Adams, Down syndrome advocate, triathlete, keynote speaker, joined by Amy Kennedy, education director of the Kennedy Forum. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Omega Ball on Your Home TV. Experience the thrill of Omega Ball, the collision of chaos and innovation in soccer. 3 teams, 3 goals, and non-stop action. Embrace the revolution. Watch Omega Ball on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, 100% pure coconut water. Imagine a drink that's nutrient-rich, powerfully refreshing, naturally sweet with no added sugars, not from concentrate, 0 additives, low in calories, absolutely no artificial flavors, and is so tasty that it will become your new favorite beverage. Enter Once Upon a Coconut, the absolute best tasting coconut water you will ever try. Available in 4 refreshing flavors: pure, chocolate, pineapple, and sparkling with energy. Do your taste buds a favor and pick up some today at onceuponacoconut.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut in honor of World Down Syndrome Day coming up March 21st, we're featuring the amazing Abigail Adams. She's a Down syndrome advocate, triathlete, keynote speaker, and influencer, a remarkable individual whose journey embodies resilience, determination, and triumph. Abigail has an impactful narrative that inspires and challenges preconceived notions about individuals with disabilities. She aims to demystify stigmas surrounding Down syndrome and really advocates for disability awareness and inclusion. Abigail was born with Down syndrome and has faced many challenges, yet she has broken barriers with an unwavering spirit. Now, each year, about 6,000 babies are born with Down syndrome in the United States. It's the most common chromosomal disorder in America. Today, we're joined by Amy Kennedy, Education Director of the Kennedy Forum, where she pursues partnerships and collaborations that emphasize evidence based research and programming to facilitate policy change in the areas of education and mental health. Today, they join me to help demystify stigmas surrounding disabilities and aim to raise awareness to promote inclusion in the workplace and in our schools in honor of World Down Syndrome Day. Welcoming now to the show are my dear friends, Amy and Abigail. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having us on.
Thank you.
Abigail, so nice to see you again. Amy, welcome back. Let's get started. Abigail, how do you believe society's perception of individuals with disabilities, particularly Down syndrome, has evolved over the years, and what progress have you witnessed?
Yes, we are more included.
I think it's gotten better in a lot of ways, where people are more aware, people are more inclusive.
What would you like to see changed to make it better for you?
People can help, like being involved. Volunteer to help. You should give back to the community too.
That's right.
And speak up for yourself.
I think we're on the right track. I think that the inclusion is definitely the first step. Awareness and inclusion go hand in hand. I think a lot of people are don't know anybody with a disability. They don't know how to react, and they a lot of times people with Down syndrome or other disabilities are sidelined because people really don't know what to do. So the more often a person with cognitive disability is included in an activity that typical people are included in, the more likely that person is to act typically and to talk typically and to have a typical life.
You're so right. Abigail, you have been working on your brand for quite some time, and you finally have the perfect motto. Please share it with us.
Retry, be confident, and help others.
And what is your slogan?
No excuses.
I love it. And now I'm going to pivot to Amy because this is her area of expertise. Amy, as an educator, by training, you have more than a decade of experience working in public schools in New Jersey, and your experience as a teacher and also as a mama of 5 really propel your efforts and your advocacy around social emotional learning and mental wellness for children and adolescents. Now, that being said, as the education director of the Kennedy Forum, can you tell us about some of the initiatives or programs you're involved in to promote inclusion and awareness of disabilities, especially in educational settings?
Yeah, sure. It's the common struggle that I think all young people are dealing with, and that's isolation. So, how do we address that not only broadly, but more specifically in the IDD community? Because we know that when people feel included, it benefits not only the individual with the disability, but the classroom as a whole. So, being able to integrate that into all schools uh, through the way the classroom is structured, but also through programs like Unified Schools or Best Buddies programs that are brought to schools, allows all students in the school to create those relationships and really learn from one another. It is about deepening that experience for the students because we know that there's so much that we can get out of that social emotional learning, and to be able to have that experience begin as early as possible in schools changes everybody's stigma and experience as adults as well.
Well said. And that's why you are in the position you are, to identify all these areas and these pockets, piece the puzzle together, and really present the roadmap for inclusion, because it's of the utmost importance, especially to families like Abigail's. Now, Abigail, your story is incredibly inspiring, my dear. Could you share a specific moment that stands out to you as a testament to your resilience and determination?
I was proud of doing the Seminole County Hall of Fame and to be the first woman with Down syndrome to complete a sprint triathlon in the world.
That is quite impressive. Can you tell me something that other people thought you couldn't do, but you did it anyway, and not the triathlon, something else?
I do modeling, acting, gymnastics.
Just like everyone else.
Yes, just like anyone else.
There you go.
And public speaking too.
I see you on Instagram. You have a lot of followers and a lot of people look up to you and all of your accomplishments. So I just wanted to point out how many admirers you do have. Now, Amy, could you shed some light on the importance of evidence-based research in shaping policies related to education and mental health that you're involved in?
Yeah, I think first of all, Abigail, congratulations. That's incredible. And it reminds me of the fact that Special Olympics, for example, has a healthy athletes program. And when we think about health and IDD, it is not just physical health. It is also mental health, social emotional well-being. But in the United States and around the world, there is a workforce shortage and a lack of training in co-occurring disorders and in dual diagnoses. So there's very few people who are trained in this. And because of that, we see that there is a pharmacology first response instead of looking for non pharmacological supports, which is the evidence base. We should be introducing those things first when we're looking at the social emotional well being of young people. So, being able to increase the training, looking at all parts of the whole person, everything from training for triathlons to how are you feeling? Are you lonely? Are you depressed? Are you anxious? The same type of screening that we're looking for in schools has to happen not only in elementary school and high school, but also for our athletes as well.
Well said. Well said. And it begins really at the beginning, because the importance of evidence-based research to shape these policies related to education and mental health, particularly the ones that concern individuals with disabilities, are often the ones that are overlooked. So being at the forefront of that is extremely important. So thank you for pointing that out and staying really at staying on your A game, because it takes people like you to continue this. Now, Abigail, you're not just an advocate, but you're also, as you said, a triathlete, an influencer, a career gal, right? How do you think your achievements in sports and social media have contributed to changing the perceptions about Down syndrome and disabilities in general?
It gives them confidence and hope. They think it's a possibility for their children to do that too. And they felt inspired too.
Of course, right? And proud of yourself to have the whole world cheering you on. And that's what's happening. You've created such an amount of community advocacy in your favor in the last couple of years. And I've watched you grow, and you've done a phenomenal job. And you're only going to keep growing and becoming better at what you do. So, congratulations. Now, Amy, what are some practical steps, so to speak, that workplaces and schools can take to create a more inclusive environment for people with disabilities?
Hiring practices have to change. I mean, that's a number one priority of the organization Best Buddies that I mentioned. We want to see hiring for a variety of jobs and at the wages that are on par for others doing those jobs. So, you know, oftentimes we see in the IDD community, 85% of individuals are unemployed. So that transition from high school to career is really difficult. So being able to make sure that we are looking at all candidates, that we are identifying career paths within companies, and that when they are hired, we have the insurance in place that covers all of the things that are needed, that the supports will be there, and that the coverage has a level of parity for any mental health and physical health needs of individuals. And we will see it again. We see that it benefits companies. The most common jobs held currently are in maintenance, packaging, stock person, sales clerk, food prep. Those are the types of jobs we want to find even more of a selection and variety for individuals with disabilities, and make sure that that employment is on par for those with disabilities, because we know that it's possible, and that the companies that are doing this, you can find quite a few that are really leaders in this space, that they're benefiting, and that the consumer who either shops at that store, or that the bottom line at the end of the day for the company is benefiting.
Amazing that you are putting this in the narrative. Now, people with Down syndrome, for those listening, have an extra chromosome. The nucleus of a typical cell contains 23 pairs of chromosomes, 46 total, and each of these chromosomes determines something about you, from your hair color to your sex. And people with Down syndrome have an extra copy or partial copy of chromosome 21. Now, just to clarify that. Now, Abigail, what message do you hope to convey to those who may still hold misconceptions or stigmas about Down syndrome or disabilities?
Well, I think people would say, you can't do this, you can't do that. They don't think I can do triathlons.
Right, but at the end of the day, you can pretty much do it all.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
it all.
I think let me just chime in. I'll say, Amy, you hit the nail on the head of several ideas that I wanted to bring up. The unified partners makes a world of difference. I think it's something that we saw in school. Abigail started at a typical state elementary school. It didn't work out. Went to private school. Things became more inclusive. She went to high school, was involved in a number of things. What were the things you were involved
3
in?
years in high school.
Yeah, 3 years in high school.
I was a sophomore, junior, and senior. But even those in 3 years, I was doing a cheerleading varsity.
Yeah, she's on the varsity squad, chair. And the inclusion part that we're talking about is the people who were inclusive were the very best athletes. The varsity cheerleaders are the ones who have the confidence, and so it's important to give them that opportunity. And it's like you said, we've got the whole classroom benefits and the individuals with disabilities benefit. And I think just as importantly, the community becomes more aware, because when we go to the football games and you see the inclusion, when you see the people that are excelling and have typical cognitive abilities are the ones that are participating, it's a home run for everybody.
Yeah, without a doubt. And when you look at Abigail's history, she's seamlessly transitioned into the corporate world. She's aligned herself with iconic brands such as Nike and Adidas and Starbucks and National Women's Soccer League and Disney. Hold on, I'm forgetting Procter and Gamble and
Yeah.
Google. Her impact extends beyond personal achievement. It really redefines the landscape of endorsements and shatters the very stereotypes that we're talking about. Bringing me into this next question, Amy, in your work at the Kennedy Forum, What role do you see policy advocacy playing in advancing the rights and opportunities for individuals with disabilities?
Policy is so crucial. Everything from IDEA to looking at what the path will be for school based services when it comes to mental health, knowing that access is so challenging for individuals with developmental disabilities, knowing that that could be addressed right within the school where oftentimes bullying and a lack of inclusion is happening. We have to be able to tackle that through policy changes and through funding measures that are going to um, help stop this early. Because when we see that lack of screening that I mentioned, it would be so much easier if we were doing that where kids are. So to be able to implement that early, to be able to implement that at those transition points is extremely helpful. The policies that we'll see going forward is what's going to be covered under Medicaid, what's going to be covered under Medicare when it comes to the health needs and mental health needs for the long term. And also, policy wise, how are we supporting caregivers? Because
Right.
we know that this is a long term plan and we have to have enough support for caregivers that they're able to continue to be part of the workforce and not deal with burnout and stress that can also come from caregiving duties.
Well said. Abigail and Steve, you're both actively involved in promoting awareness and inclusion. Amy is doing her part behind the scenes with Congress and aligning herself with the institutions that will help put this into actualization for you and your communities. What can individuals do to help contribute to a more inclusive society for people with disabilities?
Well, go ahead, Abigail.
Volunteer to help.
Yeah, I think that's really the key. If we can uh, have the community involved, it's one of the keys. Is people are sidelined who have the disability. There are a world of people who are waiting for an opportunity to help, but they don't know how to do it. And I think that what Abigail and I are trying to do with the social media and with the other promotions, with the businesses and the speaking around the country, is to make people aware that yeah, Down syndrome is not what you expected, but it's also not what you fear. And so uh, don't let what's your name of your speech,
Uh,
Abigail?
don't let anyone's low expectations limit your success.
Yeah. See, we are conditioned from decades of textbooks that tell us that people with disabilities can't function, and so they should be marginalized and shouldn't be included. And I think that's just the opposite of the direction we need to go. We need to make it a point to. We can't expect anyone to do everything. Nobody's going to be able to be successful at everything, but we have to give them the opportunity. We have to give them the confidence and the platform to do that. And that's why it's Abigail the Advocate. Is it we want people to see that there are many obstacles that we all have, and that they can be overcome if you focus on something that you're good at. And what do? You get better at it.
Yes, you
Yeah.
have to get better at it.
Mhm.
Well said. Well, we are out of time. Thank you
Okay.
both so much for joining, Amy. It was such a pleasure. Your insight is priceless. I love how you articulate everything and how you are so committed to the educational mental health process and inclusion um, advocacy here, especially not just in New Jersey, but really just across the country. Your work does not go unnoticed, my dear.
Oh, thanks for covering this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was our Hydration with Heart segment brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut in honor of World Down Syndrome Day coming up March 21st. That was the incredible Abigail Adams, Down syndrome advocate, triathlete, keynote speaker, and influencer. You could head directly to her website at abigailtheadvocate.com and do check out our dear friend Amy Kennedy, regular contributor at thekennedyforum.org, or you can check her out on the gram at Amy Kennedy You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
The Kelly Williams Show is brought to you by Serendipity Yacht Cruises and Events. Tune in and turn on your happy. Kelly Williams is full of energy and incredible guests. Watch her anytime, free programming on Your Home TV network, and do follow her on social media for a chance to win monthly prizes. Check out The Kelly Williams Show on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by CO2 Lift. As we age, our skin loses moisture and elasticity, causing wrinkled skin. You can reverse this aging process with CO2 Lift. CO2 Lift utilizes the powerful benefits of carbon dioxide to lift, tighten, and regenerate your skin. This simple, painless at-home carboxytherapy treatment is scientifically proven to reverse the aging process. You will see reduction in wrinkles, increase in luminosity, and improve pigmentation, sagging, skin tone, and radiance. For more information or to order CO2 Lift, go to CO2Lift.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in just a few minutes in our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2 Lift, we're featuring celebrity dermatologist Dr. Jeanine Downie. She's board certified and she's the director of Image Dermatology P.C. in Montclair, New Jersey. She's been honored as one of New York Metropolitans' top doctors. Impressively, she's a medical consultant for the Today Show, Good Morning America, and Dr. Oz. That's just to name a few. She's a highly sought-after lecturer and consultant, often performing FDA and investigator-initiated clinical trials for many of the top-tier pharmaceutical companies. Her newspaper and magazine credits include USA Today, the New York Times, InStyle, Allure, Prevention, the Oprah Winfrey Magazine. The list goes on and on. Her first book, Beautiful Skin of Color, is a comprehensive skincare guide for Asian, olive, and dark skin. Today, she joins me to chat about secret hacks for skin of color and to help me demystify the stigmas surrounding female sexual health. Now, you're probably not used to thinking of skin as an organ, but it's actually the largest organ of the body. It has a myriad of functions and is a big contributor to overall health. Skin of color requires some special attention to keep it healthy and attractive. It's prone to some conditions which are not typical of white skin, such as hyperpigmentation or the risk that skin cancers tend to be more advanced at the time of diagnoses. So, what are the best ways to take care of darker skin? Well, many people of color struggle to find good products, and they get bad advice from those who aren't experienced in treating their skin. Now it's all about the change. Welcoming now to the show is my expert at hand, Dr. Jeanine Downie.
Hi, Zen. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you so much, and congrats on all your success. You are quite the celebrity yourself.
Thank you.
We're going to dive right in. So, what are some of the inflammatory conditions one can experience with skin of color?
Okay, inflammatory conditions. So there's eczema, there's psoriasis, there's acne. There are a ton of different disorders, but focusing on those three, because a lot of people will come to see me for those three. I myself had really bad acne growing up, and we were saying off mic before, you're in Bergen County. I grew up in Bergen County in Teaneck. I went to Teaneck High School, and unfortunately, I think I was the child that had the most pimples at my entire high school, which is not great when both my brothers were models. So it was what it was. And inflammatory wise, what happens is any pimple can leave a dark spot, especially in skin of color. If you're Caucasian, more of a red spot. If you're brown, more of a dark spot. And that can take months and months and months to go away. And if you sit here and you pick it and you mess with it, then it'll be much, much, much worse. Eczema, hyperpigmentation, and or psoriasis, which is more violet patches with silvery scale. You can see it on the elbows, on the knees, in people that are afflicted, sometimes all over their scalp, sometimes in their ears. And these conditions, if scratched and picked, can leave big brown patches that can also take months to go away. So I tell my patients, one of my nice ways of treating all three of those is with the CO2 lift, which is a wonderful product. which is, it employs what we call the WOR effect. So it's actually putting moisture back into your skin and helping to decrease inflammation and calm down inflammation. It can be used on your face. It can be used in your scalp. It can be used in your ears. And we'll get to private parts later, but it can be used there too for eczema and or psoriasis. Obviously, hopefully people aren't getting acne down there.
Ooh, I love how you said that.
Mhm.
Now, at what age do these conditions typically present themselves? And yes, we will get to CO2 in just a bit, but I'm interested to know, is this an onset of adolescence? Is this in the 20s, 30s? What increased demographic in your practice do you see typically these conditions present themselves, and how would you treat them?
Right. So I tell everybody the same thing. Acne presents itself depending. It depends around 11, 12, 13. Some people don't get acne until they're adults, so it varies. With eczema, a lot of people have it as babies. I had it as a baby, and I have it still now, but I have it much more under control, fortunately. And then psoriasis can pop up at any time. Genetically, typically you tend to have a family history of acne, of eczema, or of psoriasis. But it depends on your hormones, it depends on your stress level. And for things like acne and psoriasis, it can depend on your weight. So if you're gaining a lot of weight, that can make your acne worse, not better. And if you're gaining a lot of weight, that can make your psoriasis worse, not better. Eczema is not typically weight dependent, but the other two can be. And then stress exacerbates any skin condition, just like it can exacerbate so much else as well. So, for example, with a lot of my skin of color patients, obesity rates in African American women are off the charts in this country, unfortunately. And so I'm forever encouraging all of my patients, regardless of what ethnicity they are and what race they are, to exercise. But with my African American female patients in particular, I try to inspire them because I over-exercise. So I exercise 7 days a week, rain or shine, all the time. Doesn't matter. I'm either indoors or I'm outdoors. And that doesn't really give my muscles a chance to rest. I know this, but I'm stubborn, so I still do it anyway. And it decreases whatever stress load of acne I'm going to get, because I still break out now, but I have it under control. And it decreases, for me, my eczema. So that's one way of handling kind of the inflammatory condition.
Now, there's a pervasive misconception that darker skin does not need sunscreen. What do you say to this?
You need to wear sunscreen every day with an SPF, regardless of which skin condition you have. And even if you don't have a skin condition, you need to wear sunblock every single day, an SPF of 30, rain or shine, January through December, regardless of your ethnicity and regardless of your sex, and regardless of whether or not you're indoors or outdoors. Because we as humans, we react to indoor lighting and outdoor lighting. Blue light from the phone, the computer, the Apple Watch, the iPad, all helps with hyperpigmentation.
Every expert I've had on has systematically said that sun damage does not discriminate and can affect all skin types. It can negatively affect specifically skin of color, causing hyperpigmentation, rosacea, melasma, cutaneous lupus, photoaging or wrinkles, skin cancer. I mean, the list goes on and on. So, without a doubt, it's imperative that a broad spectrum SPF 30 plus sunscreen regimen is implemented in all skin of color patients to protect against harmful UVA and UVB rays. But I will shift to the CO2lift.com. So, CO2lift.com has a gel that, from their studies, show 117% increase in hydration after only one application, as well as 26% increase in elasticity after 6 treatments. Now, this type of hydration is optimal. How could carbon dioxide therapy affect the health of the skin? Can you elaborate?
Absolutely. So it employs something called the BOR effect, BOHR, where it's pulling moisture into your skin, helping to decrease fine lines and wrinkles, helping to decrease inflammation within your skin. That's a decrease in your rosacea, decrease in your melasma, decrease in your acne, your eczema, your psoriasis. There's something else called seborrheic dermatitis, which is kind of like an angry case of dandruff, which it can help to decrease that as well. And my patients simply like it so much. For a lot of the eyelid dermatitis, you can use it around the eyes because it's not too strong to use around the eyes. You can use it around the lips. So even in very sensitive skinned areas, you can still use this product. And what it does is it really uber hydrates the skin and brings back moisture into the skin which my patients love. For example, I was just sharing with you before we went on air that I was in Paris and I just got back yesterday. So of course, last night I put my hair up and I put a CO2 lift on my face to rehydrate my face, because all that plane travel plus all the running around I did at that medical conference last week when I was in Paris really dehydrated and dried my skin out. So I put the CO2 lift on from the top of my forehead, including my eyelids, all over my face, including my lips, down my neck, and then I put the excess little bit I had left on the backs of my hands. So I do recommend to my patients they do that continually, especially before they have a big event, before they have a big presentation, before they're going to do something on TV, that type of thing, just to look better
Yes.
on a daily basis, whatever it is that they want.
Oh, I'm a huge fan. I use
Mhm.
it weekly as well, and I even use the vaginal treatment, which we'll get into a sec. But
Mhm.
it with this science, the science doesn't lie. It increases the
Right,
presence of wound repair factors and growth factors, which we know help cells turn over faster, reducing the appearance of aging and scars and stretch marks. And it also stimulates collagen and elastin production, which promotes elasticity and helps
right,
retain hydration. And of course, improving local metabolism and elimination of waste products, which helps the body heal localized damage such as scars or acne hyperpigmentation. And my favorite is the regenerating and repairing damaged tissue to help clients achieve that better looking and feeling skin. I've been using it after my explant surgery on my open wounds,
yeah.
on my lollipop lift that Dr. Rankin did. I explanted my breast implants after 14 years. There was a faulty valve,
Oh,
and that's another conversation. But
I'm
I am
sorry. Mm,
yeah, so is FDA, not, right?
mm.
Now, as a dermatologist, we're going to segue a little bit. One who advocates female empowerment. How do you feel about vaginal skincare?
So a lot of my patients kind of quietly come in and buy the CO2 lift because it really does add moisturization, not only to our faces and our necks and our hands, but to our vaginas. And nobody wants to talk about the vagina, but men like to cozy up next to it. And we women, we have one. So, and if you are on this earth as a human, you came out of one. So we need to talk about vaginas more and just be kind of comfortable with our sexual health. So a lot of my patients, as they start to get older, they get a little more dry. They're not happy with that. And this is one way of combating the dryness. So it's a vaginal, kind of like it's in a little tube like a tampon. You pop it up there, you let it sit for a while, hang out for like 45 minutes. You can use it for moisturization on your labia, that type of thing also. And it increases the circulation, it increases the moisturization, and it can, for some people, increase their orgasm later, which is a very good thing. A lot of my male patients will use it as well because it boosts the circulation and it stimulates the blood flow to that area for a more intense experience, which I think if you're going to have sex, you're obviously looking for an intense, positive experience. So this is one of those things. It's hypoallergenic. So no, it does not smell like anything. There's no scent. It's fragrance free and it's cleared for use of the genitals. So a lot of my patients are worried, is this going to make things worse? Is this going to do this? It's very soothing for my patients, for example, then that have razor bumps down there. It's very soothing for my patients that have a little touch of eczema down there. Obviously, very soothing for anybody that has vaginal dryness that wants to use it. And it's extremely, extremely good for my patients that have a very difficult condition called LSNA, which is lichen sclerosus atrophicus, which
That's
is
my
one.
next question.
Okay,
So CO2 lift V improves sensitivity, urinary incontinence, mild laxity of the vaginal and labia of the
right,
vagina and labia, as well as what you just said, lichen sclerosus, which is a rare skin disease that causes itchy and painful patches of thin, white, wrinkled looking skin. And in women, to my understanding, these may occur on the vulva and or the skin around the anus, and in men it typically affects the head of the penis. Now this is what
right.
Dr. Leonardo and I talked about this, but can you describe the CO2 vaginal treatment process and its effectiveness, specifically for lichen sclerosus?
Absolutely. So my patients will come in, their vaginas feel constricted, they can have whitish patches, they can be itchy, or they can just be, painful in general. And after using the CO2 lift for a while, like you said before, it can build collagen. So it helps to improve elasticity down there. So they get their elasticity back, they get moisturization back, and it helps to heal the inflammation because of the blood rushing to that area and the fact that it improves circulation in that area. So my patients are really thrilled with it. And I would say LSNA is one of those difficult conditions. So it definitely has to be used repeatedly. This is not a one and done, but like I always tell my patients, you're not going to do one push-up or one sit-up and stop. So skincare is constant, just like vaginal care is also constant.
I love this narrative. Well, we are officially out of time. That's why you are the lecturer, the famous dermatologist that everybody has talked about. And thank you so much for coming on and gracing us with your presence. You are a plethora of information, and it was such a great conversation because it's one thing to hear consumers say, hey, I'm using CO2 lift and I love it. But then when you get the medical endorsement and the medical community behind it saying, hey, listen, I use it on me. Dr. Beisman, last week's interviews, said, I actually put it on my face. And he was, here we go, this older white man saying, I actually put it on my face. And it was just interesting to see his enthusiasm about the product, which was great.
And your listeners and your viewers need to know that they can just call my office at Image Dermatology in Montclair. You do not have to be a patient. We will discreetly, with a proper credit card, of course, it's not free, ship it out to whomever it is. You do not have to be a patient of mine to get the product. You just need to call Image Dermatology in Montclair, and I'm happy to ship it anywhere in the continental United States.
Oh, I love that. We're definitely going to send lots, and you're local, so we're definitely sending lots of people your way. Thank you so much for coming on. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you kindly. Thank you very much for having me.
That was Jeanine Downie, Director of Image Dermatology P.C. in Montclair, New Jersey, an assistant attending at Mountainside and Overlook Hospitals. You can check her out directly on her YouTube channel at The Gist Show or on the gram at Jeanine Downie, or head directly to their website at imagedermatology.com. That was our Going Deep segment brought to you by CO2lift.com. Do check them out directly at CO2lift.com or on the gram at CO2lift. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to live on a boat? Climb aboard and share in the amazing yard-to-yacht adventure on yourhometv.com and explore the warm tropical islands, meet the people, and sample the culture of the beautiful places. Check out Yard to Yacht on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York. A Moment of Zen is sponsored by FinTech TV.
FinTech TV, the newest streaming channel focused exclusively on the business of blockchain, digital assets, and sustainability. Broadcasting from our studio on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange with daily reports from NASDAQ, global expansion, and 24/7 coverage. Become part of the launch. Head to fintech.tv/invest. Fintech.tv/invest.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes in our newest monthly segment called The Rankin Difference, brought to you by DavidRankinMD.com. We're featuring the many female voices and stories affected by breast implant illness, from your favorite celebrities, influencers, to your beloved stay-at-home mamas. We're going to bring you stories of truth, triumph, and survival. Joined by our expert and recurring contributor, Dr. David Rankin, a top breast explant expert in the U.S. and the chief of plastic surgery at St. Mary's Medical Center in West Palm Beach, Florida. Dr. Rankin has been in practice for well over 20 years, and he's very well respected in the BII community. He stopped breast augmentation procedures solely focusing on explanting. Today, we're joined by his patient and fellow breast implant illness warrior, Joy Corrigan. She's a model, actress, fashion designer, and a businesswoman. She's a former Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, Playboy Playmate, and Victoria's Secret model as well. She's also the co-founder of the clothing company Naked Species. Now, breast implant illness, otherwise known as BII, is a condition that just isn't well understood, but one that can be debilitating. I can vouch for that. BII refers to a wide range of inexplicable symptoms that can't be explained by the medical community that develop in women who have reconstruction or cosmetic enlargement with breast implants. Now, experts believe BII symptoms are caused by an autoimmune or inflammatory reaction to the actual implants. Today, we're chatting breast implant illness, Joy's explant journey, and the warning signs and symptoms your breasts are revealing, and of course, what most surgeons fail to disclose in your original consultation. Welcoming now to the show is my dear friend, Dr. David Rankin and Joy Corrigan. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Hey, Zen.
Hi. Thank you so much for having us.
Nice to see you, Joy. Welcome back, Dr. Rankin.
Thank you.
Okay, Joy, let's dive right in. So let's go back to the reason you got breast implants. Okay. What was the motivation behind your decision? And I want to know, once you decided to augment your breasts, did you receive full disclosure and transparency from your surgeon about the potential complications and long-term costs involved to maintain them?
Well, I got my breast implants just over 12 years ago. And when I went to go get them, I wanted to fit this perfect look that I thought was perfect. I was trying to get into the modeling industry and I wanted to have fuller breasts and I wanted to be accepted and I want to be loved. And the doctor that I went to at the time, he did not explain anything except for that I could keep them in forever. There's no health issues, and that that it was going to be great. There's no downside to it. So I was excited. I trusted what he said. I was like, he's a doctor, so I'm going to trust him. And I went and I did the surgery. And I was not aware of all the complications that would come down the road.
Okay, pause. We're going to get to those in a sec. So you did not receive full transparency, you did not receive full disclosure, and you were motivated to fit a societal norm based on the industry that you chose to work in, right? This is a recipe for disaster. Now I'm going to move to Dr. Rankin. Dr. Rankin, you've been in practice for well over 20 years and are well known in the BII community. In fact, you stopped breast augmentation procedures and solely focus on explanting. What drove you to this decision?
Just seeing more and more women having issues with their implants and beginning the explant process myself in my practice. It just I didn't really plan for this to happen and just to become solely doing explants. But the more women I saw, their health improving, I just felt like I had to stop implanting and really focus my practice on helping women in this regard.
And of course, you can't unsee what you saw. And I'm sure you saw a lot of skullduggery when it comes to breast implants and the condition that they are in once they are explanted. So thank you for making that decision. Now, interestingly enough, in 2019, the FDA called for a worldwide recall of all textured breast implants from the pharmaceutical company Allergan. And the FDA requested Allergan recall the implants because of a drastic increase in a rare and deadly form of cancer called breast implant associated anaplastic large cell lymphoma that's been associated specifically with Allergan's BioCell textured implants. Now, breast implant associated anaplastic large cell lymphoma is an immune system cancer that develops in the scar tissue capsule that forms around the breast implants. And of the 1,130 cases of the disease reported to the FDA, 953 patients had Allergan implants, and of the 59 deaths reported from the disease, 34 of the deceased patients had Allergan implants as of April of 2022. And this is according to FDA statistics. So this is very scary stuff. Okay, so thank you so much for being at the forefront of this battle, Dr. Rankin. Now, Joy, after experiencing many symptoms associated with BII, you had your implants removed and are now what they call an explant, as am I. How long did you have your implants for, and what type did you have? And when did symptoms first arise after the breast augmentation?
So I had my implants for 12 years and I got silicone implants and I had so many horrible symptoms, and I've had them out for now 6 months. And Dr. Rankin, he has definitely changed my life because all of these symptoms have slowly gone away, and I've never felt healthier. I don't even remember feeling this good since I was a child. So I'm so beyond grateful, and I 100% believe that my health is getting back to where it needs to be due to taking the implants out.
And when did you first start to see symptoms related to your breast implants?
Well, I've had symptoms over the years, but I was unaware that it was associated with the implants. So I had depression, I had pain, and I thought it was normal. I'm just like, oh, I can't lay on my side. That's normal. I have implants, and the symptoms they got worse over time. But in the past couple years, I really started to focus on my health. I was doing everything right and I was just getting worse. I was getting more sick, and I would get migraines all the time. And then I had trouble sleeping. The inflammation in my body was getting worse and worse, where I was having crazy cravings, and I was struggling with depression, where I wouldn't want to wake up in the morning. And all of those have really went away, and not instantly, but some of the stuff instantly did go away. And then the biggest thing, which I'm really excited about, is my thyroid. I just got blood work back, and my thyroid is normal levels finally for the first time in since I was a child. So
This is fantastic news. And Dr. Rankin, you are the root cause of all of these incredible, incredible feelings that she's having. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now, in 2020, the top 10 symptoms reported to the Food and Drug Administration, um, the database by women with breast implants, and these symptoms included fatigue. Fatigue was the highest one at 50%. And then they had brain fog, joint pain, anxiety, depression, rash, hovering at 20 to 25%. And interestingly enough, autoimmune diseases, inflammation, and weight problems at about 20%. So these are real statistics. Dr. Rankin, BII, as we know, can affect people with any type of breast implant, including silicone, gel filled or saline filled or smooth surface or textured. And we know that BII can develop whether implants have ruptured or stayed intact. Are there specific types of breast implants that are associated with a higher risk of BII?
In my practice, I take out a lot of smooth, textured, silicone saline. I would say a larger proportion of my patients with BII type symptoms do have silicone implants. With that being said, I have plenty of saline patients as well, because we know the outer shell is still a silicone outer shell. So we're still trying to put together the statistics of percentages of women with each type of implant and symptoms.
And I'm going to piggyback off of what you just said, just to clarify, not to scare the entire population with breast implants that currently have them, but it's important to note that breast implant illness is not the same as the rare types of cancers that can develop in the scar tissue and the fluid surrounding a breast implant, such as breast implant associated anaplastic large cell lymphoma, which I mentioned at the beginning. And there's other forms of lymphoma and breast implant associated squamous cell carcinoma. But it's worthy to point out that BII, of course, can aggravate cells that are predisposed to cancers. So that's the correlation and the domino effect here. Now, Joy, you recently explanted with Dr. Rankin. And Dr. Rankin, you have a protocol about going about your diagnoses with most women, although they are at the end of their rope, if you will, when they come to you. Joy, how long after explanting did your symptoms take to reverse?
I started to see a difference right away. I think the mental part of it, as soon as I woke up from the surgery, I mentally was so clear and so excited, and I didn't regret my decision for 1 second. I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? And then my health just started to get better and better as I was recovering. And I checked my blood work periodically every month since, and it's gotten better to the point where I've gotten off medication completely. So I'm really excited about that. And that's 6 months later.
Wow, what a difference. Dr. Rankin, this must warm your heart.
Hearing stories like Joy, that's why I do what I do, and I hear it every day in my practice, and that's very rewarding.
It sure is. Now we're going to talk about capsulectomy because this is a very, very important part of the process. So, why is the removal of the implants and the capsule so important? Let's chat about that. So, the when we talk about the removal of the implants and the capsule, which is the scar tissue that grows around the implant, is what many surgeons and countless women believe must be done to make a full recovery. What are your thoughts on this and why?
There's a lot of different thoughts of opinion on this in the plastic surgical community. In my practice, seeing the possibilities of developing problems within your capsule, like the ALCL and the squamous cell that you talked about, those are reasons in and of themselves to remove the capsule. There's been some doctors that have had studies saying that some of the silicone particles can leach into the capsules. There's been other studies that have refuted this also. So we're still trying to make sense of why we need a total capsulectomy. I think if you look at the surgery itself and the possible problems we can have with the capsule, it's just prudent to remove it when you're doing the surgery.
And you're right on the money. March 8th of last year, 2023, the Food and Drug Administration released an update to its September 2022 safety communication about squamous cell carcinoma and various lymphomas in the capsule around breast implants. So,
Right.
if they're documenting that that's where the squamous cell carcinoma and various other lymphomas live, then the obvious mitigation to this is to remove the capsule and do a capsulectomy, especially when there's more than 365,000 women that have received breast implants in 2021. That's a statistic. I'm sure that number has gone up, but that alone in 2021 was a 44% increase from the year before. So breast augmentation still remains one of the most common and popular plastic surgery procedures performed in the US. So it's really, really important to spread awareness about what Joy went through, what I went through, and what all of your patients have gone through silently suffering without anybody giving them the credence that they deserve. Now, Joy, when you suspected you had BII, did you ever second guess yourself? And what steps did you take to seek a diagnosis and treatment before you got to Dr. Rankin?
Okay, yes, I definitely second guessed myself. So many people told me that I was going crazy and that I was fine, and it was all in my head. And I thought to myself, well, even if it's all in my head, I still think that once I remove my implants, I will have a recovery. Even my head will be better. I needed to. I trusted my intuition on this because I read so many conflicting things. People were telling me this and that. So I really just trusted my gut, and I talked to Dr. Rankin, and he told me the facts, and I felt so safe and comfortable, and I just knew deep down that it was the right decision after talking to Dr. Rankin.
And that right decision it was, because guess what? All your symptoms have still slowly started to dissipate since 6 months ago, and you're on the right track and on the path to recovery mentally, emotionally, and physically. And that's the most important part. Now, you're not alone in your internal conflict, because the debate regarding the possibility of breast implants causing systemic symptoms has actually been present since the 1960s, Joy. It's a theory which stemmed from an author's concept of human adjuvant disease, and it refers to human exposure to a foreign object that causes autoimmune or rheumatic disease. And the theory was gradually introduced to the public during the 1980s and later gaining the attention of the Food and Drug Administration, which in part led to the removal of silicone implants from the market in 1992. So this has been around. They have just suppressed the information because big pharma is a cash cow and they need to keep implanting women at our own risk, which is really sad. Now, Dr. Rankin, some doctors and surgeons and other medical professionals, to Joy's point, don't believe that breast implant illness is real, with many chalking it up to a kind of hysteria fueled by social media. So, and I'm going to go one step further. A research review published in Aesthetic Plastic Surgery in 2022 titled Breast Implant Illness Real Syndrome or a Social Media Phenomenon. Then they go on to say that BII is a condition characterized by elusive diagnostic criteria and self-reported diverse, disabling, and distressing physical and psychological symptoms. Then the authors wrote that the condition is perhaps becoming the most controversial subject in aesthetic and reconstructive breast surgery, generating heated debates between those who do not believe such a condition exists and those who demand its acceptance as a recognized diagnosis. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you say to this?
All I can say is, in my practice, doing 500 explants plus a year and seeing the majority of my patients improve and say they feel better and say they feel healthier, the proof is in the pudding. You look on social media, you have all these groups of women getting together, discussing their symptoms, discussing their process, and just speaking the truth. There's no need for these women to make things up. They've been struggling for answers for a long time. Their health has declined for a long time, and they're getting better. And you can't really stop the power of social media and women collectively getting together and going over this topic.
Exactly. And because BII isn't well understood and the symptoms are so diverse, many doctors either don't know about the condition or haven't even connected the dots between the wide range of symptoms and the possibility that breast implants could be the cause. And other doctors and surgeons just don't believe it's a real condition. Now, the FDA, however, let's go back to the tape, is aware of BII and has been since at least 2019, when the FDA alone released a statement that read, "The current evidence supports that some women experience systemic symptoms that may resolve when their breast implants are removed, referred to by some patients and healthcare professionals as breast implant illness, period, and the end." It's written there, it's set in stone. The FDA themselves put it out there. So the debate is over in my mind. Now, Joy, after explanting, did you choose to reconstruct and what did this entail?
No, I actually just explanted, and Dr. Rankin advised me just to not have to do a lift. He said that everything would be, looking amazing, and I just had to be healthy. And you know what? I'm so glad I just listened to him. I got the implants out, and I've never felt better. I've never looked better. I was scared that I was gonna look awful after, and what that would do with for my career. But honestly, I've been working more than ever, and I feel more beautiful in my natural own self. And I think this is part of my journey of falling in love with myself. So I'm hoping that I can encourage other women to find that within themselves and not need to put a foreign object in their body to feel loved or to work in this industry.
Oh, you said it, sister. Thank you for sharing that. You are 100% right. Now, Dr. Rankin, what advice do you have for women wanting to explant but really just fearing this step?
I mean, it's a tough decision for sure. I recommend you go to a surgeon that does a lot of explanting, has a lot of experience, board certified by the American Board of Plastic Surgery. Like everything in life, experience is key, and you want to find someone that can guide you through the process and make you understand your expectations going in, because it's definitely a challenging process. Particularly some women are going to do great, and other women with thinner tissues and larger implants, it's more challenging aesthetically. So experience is the key for this.
You have your work cut out for you. You sure do. And you have a lot of women that are big, big fans of yours, and now even more. Joy, what advice do you have to women out there thinking they're crazy and that their symptoms are psychosomatic?
I think anybody that's listening to this right now, deep down. I think once I started hearing from other people, it just clicked for me. I'm like, oh, that's me. I know those symptoms are because of my implants. So I think, just trust your gut, trust your intuition. And if you really feel that these symptoms are because of your implants, they probably are, and you're not crazy. And just follow through. Do your research. Find an amazing doctor. Dr. Rankin's my favorite, and I did a lot of research before I found him. And yeah, just make sure that you just do what's best for you. And usually that's an explant.
Well said, my darling. Well said. Well, we are at the end. Thank you so much for coming on. Dr. Rankin, thank you so much for coming on and always being so transparent, full of information, educating not just the public, but other fellow surgeons in your field about the real stuff that women are struggling with that nobody else wants to talk about.
Thanks, Ann. It's always my pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Guys, although not an official disease diagnosis, breast implant illness is a complex collection of symptoms that occur in previously healthy women after having breast implants. And it can affect the entire body and include physical and psychological symptoms that are often severe and debilitating. And the symptoms are so numerous and varied that it's difficult for doctors to arrive at a diagnosis, and it confounds many of them. Thank you both so much for coming on. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. That was The Rankin Difference, brought to you by David Rankin, MD. And remember, there is a black box warning. This is real stuff. Breast implants can cause a type of cancer of the immune system called breast implant associated anaplastic large cell lymphoma. And people with silicone or saline breast implants have developed this rare disease, which can be deadly if not treated. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the major plastic surgery societies, and other health authorities have been devoting more attention to BII than they had in the past. And in October of 2021, the FDA began requiring breast implant manufacturers to include this black box warning: implant at your own risk. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by The Wellness Way, your trusted partner in health restoration. Now you can feel amazing at any age with their foundational testing and mind-body approach. The Wellness Way offers in-clinic and telehealth support when you're ready to test, not guess, what your body needs. Discover your best health by visiting their website, thewellnessway.com, and selecting a clinic near you. Do health differently at thewellnessway.com.
Welcome back to this week's Discover Your Potential Express segment, sponsored by The Wellness Way on A Moment of Zen, right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm Anna DeVere, co-host of Discover Your Potential, and today we'll be chatting about game-changing women. I'm thinking of Marie Curie, Amelia Earhart, Rosa Parks, Eleanor Roosevelt. They say that well-behaved women rarely make history. And from where we stand today, these women didn't just make history, they changed the world. This week, we not only celebrated International Women's Day, we also kicked off Women's History Month. And as a tribute to both, we take a look back at another game changer who possessed both beauty and brains, Austrian-born Hedy Lamarr. While Hollywood honored her film career with a star on the Walk of Fame in 1960, she was also known for her work as an inventor. At the start of World War II, Hedy and composer George Antheil developed a radio guidance system that armed the Allied torpedoes with an anti-jamming capability. The principles of their work were eventually used in creating GPS and Bluetooth technology. For this, Hedy Lamarr was inducted into the National Inventors Hall of Fame in 2014. This day and every day, we honor women around the world who make history right where they stand. So when it comes time to make your mark, don't forget that making mistakes is part of the process. It's important for those following in your footsteps to see you celebrating your perfectly imperfect self. And remember that no matter how you plan to make history, being a game changer starts with taking charge of your health. The folks at The Wellness Way have been so gracious at helping me with my foundational health, and I know my family is truly grateful. I hope you'll join me in making health a priority this year for you and the trailblazers of tomorrow. Check out our upcoming extended episode with the Wellness Way at www.discoveryourpotentialshow.com. And if you're ready for your own health transformation, go to thewellnessway.com and find a clinic near you. From iHeart to Your Heart, this express segment was sponsored by The Wellness Way. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV with Kathy Ireland and their channel partners. Head to yourhometv.com for free, family-friendly programming, streaming 24/7.
Make it happen with Mariah Callor, where entrepreneurship meets heart and home. Join her on a journey through the dynamic world of real estate as a wife and mom of 2 boys who's conquering it all. Witness the passion, hustle, and joy as she navigates the exciting intersection of business and family. Check out Make It Happen with Mariah Callor on yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on 710 WOR, the voice of New York.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also, remember that we're live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern, and all episodes of A Moment of Zen are available on Your Home TV and Kathy Ireland worldwide platform. You could head directly to our channel at mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.